Hello, everyone. This is PamelaTopjian, and today I'm going to talk about mediumship. And this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart for a few different reasons, but mainly because I have been seeing spirits. This is the wording I use. I have been seeing spirits since I was a little kid. There's been stretches of years that have gone by that I didn't see any and didn't communicate with anything in that realm. And there has been years of, being in that world and being connected in that way for years at a time. But it'll also go away or drop off for years at a time sometimes. So, so this was suggested to me by a loved one and something I've been considering sharing about too, because it is a side of me that maybe a lot of people don't know, and that's okay. And probably it's not that I'm ashamed or embarrassed or worried about what people think. It's just that I'm not clear yet in my mind what I'm doing, where this is from or where this is going or whatever. So I'm not 100% clear, and so talking about it with you maybe will help a little bit, but also just sharing a part of me that I don't normally share. So I don't consider myself a medium, but I do know that I am building up to it. I'm working on it. It takes so much. Some people have this generational thing and they grew up with this with other family members and things. That's not been my life. It takes a lot of time to practice and a lot of time to study and learn and just grow your intuition. And so now I have the time to do that. And this is probably the first time in my life that I really am balanced and happy and at peace with my life and that I have time. So I'm really putting a lot into it now and getting to that point. So maybe by the time my hair is all gray, I will be a medium. So I just wanted to share some of the books that I have. There's others, but these are the ones that I wanted to share. This is the Medium's book. This is a thick one by Allan Kardec. This is the newest one that I have. You are a medium. You just don't know it yet. And this is by Hannah Macintyer. And this is an old one that I've read and reread, The Unquiet Dead. And this is Dr. Edith Fiore. This is a really interesting one. And so you want to be a medium. A Down-to-Earth Guide by Rose Vanden, Eynden. Rose Vanden, Eynden. What it really is, in my mind anyway, is connecting with those on the other side. Now, a lot of times we think of like psychic mediums that have, shows on TV or, do shows with audiences or events with audiences, and they pick out of a crowd or they say who's calling to them and ask who that is related to, things like that. Or we see these really high profile sort of famous mediums that do all kinds of different things and do it in different ways on TV. So it's completely up to you on who you feel is genuine and who you believe or don't believe. We all have our own sort of inner radar to show us that, to show us what feels right and true within our heart and soul and within our gut, right? So you have to go with that on your own and see how you feel about different ones. I've seen spirits my whole life. There was a time in my life where I went on some paranormal investigations with a group. I have also practiced with getting photos of people's loved ones who had passed away and just practicing with the photos. And that seems to be the best way for me. So I'm sure that if I sat down in front of somebody at this point in my journey, in my mediumship journey, that I would just freeze up and lock up because I would be too worried about just a lot of things. And I would want them to hear from who they were expecting to hear from, and I would want to be able to have a good connection with the other side. And I find that this happens for me best like in meditation, or if I it's almost like a trance state a little bit, where I will look at a photo and go, sort of connect with the photo and connect with the person in the photo. And for me, if their eyes are showing, it really helps. For ones that have sunglasses on, or even other glasses and they're just kind of glared on there, it's not as easy. Sometimes it is, though. Sometimes it is. And sometimes I'll get like a lot of information and it'll all be true and it just blows me away. And other times I get a little bit of information and sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not. And sometimes I can't get anything. So I'm not quite at a good point where I feel like I can offer this or do this with people regularly or anything. But that's why a lot of practice, it really, just like anything, it takes a lot of practice to be able to do it, to be able to make that connection. So I fully believe that people on the other side, your friends and loved ones who have passed away, are always around us. And yes, I believe in reincarnation, or, coming back. Our souls come back to live other lives. But it's so hard to explain on this human level. But I do believe that the soul is not like, it's not a time and space, and it's not physical matter. It's not like this one soul for this one person, and this person died, and the soul goes on to be with another person. I don't believe it's like that. I think so many people do think of it that way. But in my mind, it's not. And I'm not saying anybody is wrong or right. This is the way I think of it. This is what feels right and true for me. So your soul, the soul and the essence of the life of your family member, your loved one, your friend, can stay around you. It doesn't mean that they're on earth and they're not wherever they go, and again, there's not like they don't go somewhere. They're not going. They're not staying. They're not going. They don't get stuck. They just are. They just are. They're part of the energy. And I'm going to sound a little out there, I know, but they're part of the energy of universal love. The essence, the personality, and the characteristics of the person who had passed away are a part of that soul. And yes, the soul will go to have a human experience in another human body as they're born. But it doesn't mean the essence of your friend and your loved one isn't still around you, or just around, right? So that's the way I think of it. And I don't see myself being the kind of person that has a business for it or does it for large audiences. I really like connecting one-on-one. And I find in meditation, rather than being face to face with somebody, having a picture to look at, going into meditation, or even staring at the picture and just kind of making that connection that way, for me so far has been the best way, and especially with strangers. So there have been people that I know who have shown me pictures of people who have passed away, and I don't know those people. So, the person who has the loved one who has passed away is somebody that I know, but the person that they're showing me the picture of is somebody I don't know. So that's when it works best, is when the person that I'm trying to get information about is somebody I don't know. And that's just so far. So I have a lot to learn and a lot to practice. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. If you have an idea for another topic for a video, something else you'd like me to discuss, I'd be happy to. There is so many different types of mediums and so many different ways that they work, that they do, that they work through their skills or their gifts or their talents. And none of them are right or wrong. It's just whatever is going to be best for you. If you're a medium or if you're becoming a medium, I would love to connect and just talk about how you learned, what your journey was like, how it's going. Yeah. So for me, it would be all about helping people through their grieving process and to helping people to understand and not feel so alone when their loved ones are gone and passed on, so they don't feel so alone and missing that person, but it helps to sort of bridge that gap a little bit. And also, when I talk about the grieving process, one of the things that people are most worried about is, did my loved one, are they in pain anymore? Or are they around? When I talk to them, do they hear me? Those kinds of things. And I think that it can help with that grieving process by knowing that they are around. Sometimes I have gotten messages when I look at the photos that are so cliche and so, like of course you're going to say that, like anybody faking it would say that. But a lot of times they're just messages of profound love and not to hold on to any anger and that all has been forgiven, um, or being proud of somebody. A lot of those messages come through and it just sounds way too cliche to say it. So, you know, so know that your loved ones usually do want you to know that they are around and that they love you and that they are proud of you. And they also don't want you to hold on to any grief or grudges. Just think of the good parts of your memories of them. They don't want you to hold on to the memory of when you saw them at their worst, whether at their worst in life or at their worst as they were dying. So just, keep them alive in your heart by remembering all the good things about them and the good times together, or, even the profound times together, whether they were good or not. Sometimes really cherished memories and profound memories are not always, the best, weren't always from the best time, but still that has brought you much closer. So just know that they want you to keep that stuff in your mind about them. I'm not even sure what people would want to know when it comes to my experience because I don't have a lot of experience, but I do talk a lot about being authentic and being your true self and living your truth, and this is a big part of me. Like I said, I haven't purposefully hid it. It's just that I don't feel like I'm there yet. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I am now putting in the time and the effort that it deserves. That's always been there with me, always in the back of my mind, always, itching at me. It's always been a part of me. But I knew that it would take me to be at a more balanced place in my life and more at peace in my life. And it would also take a lot of work because my grandmother wasn't a medium, not that I know of. My great grandmother wasn't. Um, you know, Nobody in my family was doing these kinds of things, whether it's mediumship or channeling or even more like divination types of things, reading cards or reading poems, tea leaves, um, scrying with water or scrying with a crystal ball or even a mirror, any kind of psychic or medium or anything like that. I don't think I have any in my family, and nobody in my family talks about anything like this. So this is something that I have to really work on developing. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm just learning to develop it. And I think I said that I made a joke about my graying hair that, maybe it has to be all gray before I can really own this or really feel more confident in this. And that's a joke that my husband said, that, oh, you'll get there. Your hair has to be all gray first, though. You have to be that wise old woman. Hopefully this was somewhat interesting. Hopefully some of you can relate. Hopefully you got something out of this. If you've watched to the end, then please hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. It really helps the channel. And if you have any other topics, let me know. Thanks. Thanks so much for listening.